The business system used by China and the business system used in India are extremely different. Let's start with China. China's business system has a heavy reliance on government intervention and participation. When it comes to business, China is the exact opposite of America in that they are completely hands-on and heavily involved in how certain businesses are ran and operated. In order for China to thrive, the government firmly believes that intervention into the country's businesses and the directions they take can help play a crucial role in the country's economic well-being. I saw this type of government interaction when we visited the Zhongguancun Science Park. I realized that China prided itself on the technological capabilities it had. My Chinese interpreter, Derek, explained to me how important technology is to them because it is their way of competing globally. I was excited to learn about the high-speed rail and even got to sit in the simulator of its replica. On the other hand, we have India. India promotes more of a free type of culture, in which they allow businesses to run without heavy government involvement. Many jokes were made during our trip about the traffic and driving in India in comparison to China because there is very little structure when it comes to traffic laws and enforcement. But this lack of structure also applies to India's private and public sectors. They allow free market operations and businesses use this to their advantage to grow and thrive. Even though both of these countries have very different and nearly polar opposite business systems, each have worked well for their countries to enable rapid growth. During our visits to many of Chinese and Indian businesses, it seemed that although both countries saw each other as direct competitors, they also benchmark each other in terms of development. For example, in China, the government is slowly trying to embrace some free market strategies in order to grow in areas that may require this type of market. Then even the president of EMPI University in New Delhi, India mentioned that China's roads and traffic laws alone were enough to try to implement a little more structure into their day-to-day. Regardless of which country will be stronger in the next few years, the trip had made it clear to me that both are to be admired for their strength and growth, both now and in the years to come. In terms of what I thought China and India would be like before we departed, I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't as bad as I thought. What I mean by that is that I thought the people of China would not be quite fond of us Americans. I had been to Hong Kong before and my experience there was not very pleasant. The people were consumed by the fast-paced environment and very impatient when it came to us American tourists. But when we were in Beijing, everyone was very pleasant. We visited businesses and schools where they treated us like royalty. The snow was also such an awesome surprise and we all loved it, despite the torturous cold. It was a blast to not only experience another culture, but also another environment. And when we came to India, I was not used to the air and I had a hard time breathing at first. We were terrified of getting sick and of the water. But in the end, the hospitality of all our host schools and businesses was outstanding. I will never forget my first, but hopefully not last, experience I had in Chindia.